I have put thousands of hours into MMORPGs, from Ultima Online to World of Warcraft, you name it. Now, I don't have the time I used to have to play the games which forged so many of those memories for me. But EverQuest Legends takes a beloved formula and IP and turns it on its head, opening the door for the casual player all the way up to the sweaty tryhard. Now, I've been lucky enough to be in the closed beta, and let me tell you about how it is rapidly becoming my newest addiction without the heavy time lock. Hours of camping, long raids, forced group content, corpse runs, XP loss, all of it is gone, or at least changed in EQL or EverQuest Legends. Now, I want to be as respectful of your time as this game is, so let me give you the brief explainer of what this is all about. Essentially, you choose your trio of any 3 classes, and then you do any content you want in the game, either solo or in a group. Raids are limited to 8 players, and dungeon content can be scaled from 0 to difficulty 4. Each difficulty adds more experience, harder monsters, but also better items. Items can also be improved and scaled, as well as using a new moat system that levels those items up. If you're bored of your trio, swap it around to try a different combination. Want to go do the Plane of Hate on your own? You can, either as your own solo instance or one with friends, and all of it with instanced personal loot, so no one misses out on drops. That's the too long didn't watch this entire video because there's just so much to get into with this game, but I want to give you a sense of what we'll be getting into and why it's worth every second of your time, even if you don't have much to spare. Loading into the game, let's talk about the biggest hurdle that everyone deals with when they play an MMO, and it's deciding on your class. With EverQuest Legends, it's not so much about selecting a class, it's about selecting 3 classes. So what we do here is, a lot of this is really kind of hard to see, and that's okay. I'll annotate all of it, so don't worry too much about it. So what you can see right here is my character. My character, I'm going to go ahead and press add, and you can see this little screen right here. So my character is a High Elf, Cleric, Shadow Knight, Berserker. I am combining all 3 of those classes. So, you know, before, hey, I'm going to choose a warrior in World of Warcraft, or I'm going to choose a bard in Final Fantasy. I'm going to choose a Dragon Knight in ESO. There's pros and cons to those things. Hey, this plays like that. A warrior has all these abilities, but it can't use any ranged spellcasting, stuff like that. You don't have to worry so much about the pros and cons this time around because you're just choosing a bunch of different pros, more or less. So you select a race, and your race is locked in place until you do an achievement to unlock other races, and I'll talk about that in a second here. You then select a primary class. My primary class is Cleric. You are locked into your primary class after level 11. The game will even ask you, hey, do you want to lock this in? Because you can't change it until level 50. At level 50, you'll be given a token to choose another primary class, and then you can quest up for more tokens, whichever you so wish. And you'll see here that the base stats for your character are right here. You'll probably can't see them, especially if you're on mobile, and I apologize. Just the UI scale is very small in this game. It's appropriate on your monitor, but not in a video. So I'll probably try to enhance this region. Then from there, I choose a secondary class and then a tertiary class. That is my trio. I just chose 2 at random, and it adds those into the stats down here. So for example, you know what? I'm a cleric, right? So I'm really good at healing. I wear plate armor, but I'm not good at close combat. So let's choose like a paladin who's really good at, well, who's decent at close combat, but they can also really tank. But you know what? We're still not doing a ton of damage. So let's add in a rogue, and now I can backstab people from the front because it's an ability in this game. Or a berserker, so I can do a lot more with my 2-handed weapons. Or I can use a bard, and I can use dual wielding, and I can also sing songs that improve all my combat abilities. So you have all these ways to add a bunch of different classes into your parent class. And then from there, you would press save and would come over here into your loadouts. So right now I'm playing my Cleric, Shadow Knight, Berserker, but I can swap over here to my Cleric, Ranger, Necromancer, which I played before. I use all my healing capabilities of a Cleric. I have all my fun buffing and attack capabilities of melee of Ranger, but I can now summon up undead pets like a Necromancer and do life tap capabilities. This is what makes EQL really cool and unique, is because it allows me to choose my primary class and then have secondaries and tertiaries, and I can swap these out. You know what, maybe I'm playing this loadout with my core friend group, but you know what, they're not on and I don't really want to level up past them. Well, I'll just start a secondary loadout, and that loadout is what I'm gonna play solo. And they come back on, I just load them back and forth. Whatever your lowest level of your trio is the level of all 3. So I'm 44 on both my cleric and berserker, but if I put in a druid, for example, I'm now level 10 because that's a level 10 druid on my list over here. And you level up the whole trio as you level up. So the pain point, the indecision of trying to choose a class is gone, because you can constantly rotate your class and you can constantly choose different selections as you theory craft your way through it. And I'll tell you right now, that's the biggest problem in the game. You're going to find yourself in a hole doing that quite a bit. So you've gone ahead and selected your class. Now it's time to go level up, go into some dungeons, go do instances, as it were, right? Well, you're going to have to find a group for that. So time to jump up into the LFG queue or look up to see who's trying to find other people to group up with. And you're going to have to find a location that makes sense for your level. And you're going to have to find all of these things that you needed to do in World of Warcraft and ESO and Final Fantasy and Dark Ages of Camelot and everything, even in EverQuest Basic, is alleviated here. Because now your dungeon experience can be scaled based off of how you want to approach it. So jumping over here, we've got my character yet again, and a spider who's just going crazy over there. I am in a level 0 dungeon that says 0 down here. I'm going to go ahead and press pick difficulty. And you fortunately, probably hard to see. I'm going to put it over here so I can zoom in on it later. There are 5 different total difficulties: 0, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those difficulties are going to scale the monsters in the difficulty, not the density, but the number of monsters in them. So 0 is how the game is always played, but 1 is harder, 2 is harder than that, 3 is harder than that, 4 is even the hardest. Each jump up increases your experience by 10%. So if you want to scale it, you feel like you're doing it a little too easily, you can go ahead and do that. But you can do this solo. That's the important thing here. You've got a trio of classes to leverage. You don't have to sit through this large LFG queue while you wait and do some quests in the background. No, you can just go ahead and jump into it. And then if you want, you find someone down at level 0 or level 1 or 2, and they say, hey, let's group up. You jump up a higher difficulty. So now it's the 2 of you or 3 of you, and you're going through the dungeon together. Or you've got friends, you can do it in a dungeon together. Now, these are all public dungeons that I'm talking about. And this isn't a really important distinction that this game is going to make now. And I think this is kind of something that's pretty big for the future of MMOs. Ooh, that froglock just kind of hopped across, right? There is an ability in this one called pick instance. I'm going to do this. We're going to do these are now side by side. In this game, I can create an instance. I can create my own instance. I can choose the difficulty, and this list is 0 all the way to 4. I can choose whether it's a solo one just for me or multiplayer where I'm queuing up, or not queuing up, but I'm loading this in or creating this with a party. And then I can determine if the monsters in the dungeon respawn or don't respawn. So think of doing the dread mines in World of Warcraft, and you go through the very beginning. You can make it so that nothing in the dread mines respawns, so you can go through it and kill it in its entirety. Or you can have it all respawn. I forget that in World of Warcraft, once you kill something in an instance, it doesn't respawn. Sometimes it does, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. In EverQuest, in a dungeon, in a public space, they always respawn. So you can have these instances where you go through it and you have all these things come about, and you can simply just not have it respawn. And then you can wait 6 hours if you want and then keep doing it. Like you can go take a break, eat some dinner, and come back into it. So all of this kind of hecticness and this craziness of establishing a group to go do group content. And that's the biggest hurdle I've dealt with in so many of these MMOs is I got to get a group for that. Okay, the group got together. Okay, the group fell apart because someone left or someone was incompetent, and then 3 people left, and now it's just me and one other dude, and we're trying to find other people again, and I've wasted 3 hours. Nope, just go find a dungeon, go into it. And as a closing point for this section, they've revamped all of the intro dungeons. Well, a lot of the intro dungeons. Right now it's Najina, Blackburrow, and oh my gosh, Befallen. If you're a veteran, you know those names. So those dungeons now drop items that are really good, which brings me to our next section. So you can see here, I have some items up, and items are always a big carrot and stick whenever you're playing an MMO, right? You think of World of Warcraft, you got to go get your tier gear if you want to go do that location. Oh, hey, you're playing Final Fantasy. Well, you're going to have to do your weekly lockout. And if you don't get your weekly lockout, you're not going to get your currency to get the best gear in the game. That is a pain in the ass. This time around, you just don't deal with it, because items you find in this game can be upgraded within the system of the game. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you right here, right now. If you're a veteran, you know what the skull-shaped bar boot is, but this is a helmet that I've got. And you'll see at the end, if you can see, it says +7. What I have here too is this is a tier 7 helmet, and it has AC 23, HP 62, and save 17. I have another helmet that I found. You'll typically find repeat items in this game by killing the same name monsters over and over. It used to be you just sold those. Now I can take this +3 one and put it into here, and it goes from 83 out of 128 to now 96 out of 128. And I merge the item and it gets closer to +8. This is done even further by going into my storage here. I don't know if I have any +7s on me. What a great video this is. Here, we'll do something else. Here's these shin gauntlets. We can go ahead and use, I think I've got a +4 somewhere. Here, I'll just withdraw some of these. These motes can be used in the same fashion. So I can put these motes right into here. And this is going to take these shin gauntlets, which are +3, AC 10, 8 save against poison. We'll merge it. Now they're AC 12 and 10 save against poison. So you scale items up as you find either repeat items, or if you find these motes to put into these items. It's a huge quality of life because that carrot and stick is kind of gone, right? You find an item you really like, it fits your class combination, your trio, you just keep making it better and better all the way to a +10. And you do that from level 1 to level 50. At level 50, you find the best items in the raids, which we're going to talk about later. Here's another example too. I've got 2 of these shin greaves. One is +5, one is +4. And I found both of them. We're going to take the +4 and put it into the +5. And it's going to go up to a +6. And that's how this system works. You're able to just simply leverage the items you find throughout the game and improve them by either putting their identical items into them or by using this mote system. If you're a veteran, this is an item that you get from the new Befallen, and it's really good. It's a really solid item. This system is kind of confusing if you're coming from a different MMO, but if it says ratio here, just think of that as DPS. The thing with the highest ratio is what you're going after. But what I want you to see, as it pertains to items, this thing that says proc, exaltation. This means that, and you can't really see it very well, but it's down here. This little icon here, I can put any item's abilities into items that match it. So for example, I pulled off the haste of another two-handed axe and I put it in this. So now this weapon will trigger a haste and make me swing faster. Or I've got my eye patch here. I pulled off this special ability so that now when I right click my eye patch, it turns me into a dark elf. That's a different item altogether. If you're a veteran of the game and you've played the Bard, you know that the Bard has a whole bunch of specific instruments. Well, you can pull their focuses out and put them in their other items. So this gives you so much granularity where you're not locked into finding specific items because it's the carrot and the stick. You find the item to upgrade the item to keep the item hopefully forever. And that is how this system works, because it is just that much better and it removes so much inertia from all of your item gathering behavior. So you just booted up an MMO for the first time, and now you have to learn about your spellbook. Now you got to learn about how inventory management works, because all those things are prevalent in not just MMOs, but in action RPGs, action-adventure games, all these games as a whole. But EQL does a really good job of bringing a lot of quality of life to a lot of systems that we interact with in a lot of RPGs. Typically, when you die in an RPG, you have to do a corpse run. Think about when you die in WoW. You got to run back to your corpse and then resurrect. Think about if you died in Dark Ages of Camelot. You had to run back to your tombstone and pray. If you died in a classic EverQuest, if you were able to get back to your corpse in time, you'd recover the experience you lost. Both of those things aren't present here. There's no corpse running. If you die, you just resurrect back at the parent or the beginning of the instance you were in, the dungeon you were in, or back at your bind point, either one. You do not lose experience for dying this time around. And take a look at this right here. This is your advanced loot. All loot in the game is personal. It's instanced, meaning if I'm with friends, I still get this little thing that pops up. So if we go kill a hard monster, we both get our own loot from that monster. It's a great system. Further, from this screen, I can choose to loot something with this check mark or just press the sell button. I can just directly sell things from this menu. So I don't have to manage my inventory outside of the items I 100% want in it. I don't need to spend a bunch of time in town worrying about dealing with merchants and selling everything and organizing my bag. My bag is filled with items and only items that I want. And if you've played EverQuest, you know how rare it is to have a bag that looks like that. Like a bag like that is usually filled with a bunch of crap. But I press this button, it's all sold, it's all done. And if I forgot to sell something, I can click it and then press destroy, and I will sell it and I'll get money for it. Like if I take one of these ivory, let's take 3, destroy, it sold them for me. So if I forgot, I could just go ahead and do it. And there's just so many little systems inside this game that make it a lot easier. I don't have to deal with or navigate around a spell book anymore, because typically before you'd press this button and you'd have your spell book and you'd click through it and you'd find all the things and put them on here. Nope. I just press L and I go to spells and I can go ahead and find the one that corresponds to my level, or I can even search it. Let's just search Flutter. Oh, there's Heart Flutter. Cool. I'm great. I can just pop it on in. Streamlining all these things removes so much time that you don't have to spend on the cumbersome systems that are always present in any RPG, MMO or otherwise. And one kind of closing point here too, this is a little bit more for the veterans. You can see that, here, I'll load this up. Right now I'm going to put on all my buffs. And one of the big things in original EverQuest was buffing your character. And buffing your character in raids, which is our next subject, used to take 15 minutes, 20 minutes. People would run scripts, they would run macros, all sorts of things. I've loaded all of my available buffs onto my character. I'm going to press this quick buff button. Every character in my party or in my raid is now fully buffed with all of the spells that I have memorized, and I'm good to go. Hey, I'm going to play with some friends and I'm over here in Lower Guck, which is a dungeon, and I want them to come to me. I press gather party and they all summon directly to me. So there's so much quality of life that has been improved as not just from an RPG, but from an MMO perspective in EQL. So the last subject to really bring up now are raids, and raids are where every MMO ends, right? Every big guild, every big static, quote unquote, as it is called, aspires to complete raids in a progression, is again another term. So if you play World of Warcraft, you're trying to push the highest raid possible. You play Final Fantasy, you are either in a static or you have a guild that's doing it. You've done it in all of the MMOs forever. That's the point of them. And those groups are typically 20, 30, in old EverQuest, 40 people large. That's a huge amount of people. And you have to coordinate schedules. You have to get everyone on. Everyone's got to pay attention. You have to say clear comms every 3 fucking minutes because people just don't want to clear comms. And I swear to God, I don't have PTSD from it. But you in EQL, it's not the case anymore. You can go do the hardest raids in the game as a solo character. It takes you a long time, and that's kind of fun. You kind of do this deep dungeon delve on your own through the plane of fear, and it's rough and tumble, but it's totally doable, and it's intended to be done alone. Or you can group up with friends. It doesn't need to be a full raid. And did I mention that the raids in this game are only 8 people large? So even if you do decide to go, hey, you know what, we're going to do like a throwback EverQuest experience with some of my friends that I played EverQuest with when I first started. Hey, I only got 5 of those friends or 6 of those friends. Cool, then just go do it with those people, because you can scale the difficulty just like you could before. Now, one thing I did not bring up in the items and the dungeon difficulty, when you scale the difficulty of the dungeon, it increases the plus to every item. So if you saw how some of my items had +7s and +8s, well, if you do on harder difficulties, you get higher pluses on those items. So doing the better raids with more people allows you to upgrade your items faster, getting more and more and more powerful, and it cascades and gets out of control. So the raiding experience in this game is so much more accessible. You don't have to wait through 40 people's respective schedules. You don't have to deal with a DKP, which stands for Dragon Kill Points. Was a system that started and actually in EverQuest, but is a system that is used in raids, in World of Warcraft, and plenty of other games. You don't need that crap, because remember, all of the loot is still instanced. So if you go kill a boss, well, everyone gets their own instance loot, and you can share it with each other. You can only trade items once, though, then they become no trade. So it prevents you from just going and killing and selling everything. There's no real like platinum economy established yet, but I think that that's great because it allows you to really spend time getting the items, earning the items, and enjoying it rather than feeling like you're constantly under a gun to establish some sort of meta for your character, or else your character is going to be crap. Nope. Play a trio you want, go do the dungeons you want to do, get the items you need, then go do raids as you see it. That will it be in a way that works for your schedule and nothing else. And that's really the crux of this whole entire video. EverQuest Legends is an MMO that respects your time, right? That's the title. That's the whole point of everything we've discussed here today. Really what it comes down to is that this game is your adventure. You don't have to have the game playing you. You don't have to worry about constantly hitting some sort of impossible meta target. You don't have to worry about constantly dealing with ridiculous schedules or poor item management, all those things. It's a lot more of a streamlined process. Now, the game is old though. I'm not going to lie to you. It's 27 years old at this point. And there's definitely quirks with the UI. As you've seen, the UI scale is quite low, but I've been able to talk to some of the developers. They've come and watched some of my streams, and they're all really awesome. They've listened to feedback pretty closely. They've changed the way that the game has felt in the closed beta from the start of it to now coming towards the end of it. So if you want to jump into the game, you can do the pre-order if you want to do that. If you pre-order, you jump into the open beta. But the game launches on July 28th, and it's going through tons of changes in just the closed beta. I can't imagine what the open beta is going to be like on those changes. And that's exciting to have an MMO that is actively being developed by a very passionate developer group that is kind of very, ear to the ground when it comes to player and community feedback, and is diehard in adjusting an old game up to modern standards when it comes to modern hardware, modern UI scaling. Like the developer that was in my stream today had said that their TV, they have a 4K TV, and their goal is to be able to play the game on the 4K TV with like an appreciable UI scaling. So there's a lot of great things here. And I didn't talk about a ton of other things. Have you played EverQuest Legends yourself? Are you in the closed beta? What has been your experience? Is this your first time hearing about this? What do you think? Or are you a veteran and does this now excite you to get back into it because you've heard rumblings and now you have confirmation of what it's like? Let me know in the comment section below, because I am beyond stoked for July 28th when this comes out. My friend group and I we're talking about trios all the time. I had mentioned this in the class section. You will, if you get into this, you will constantly say, I'm going to play this trio of classes. 2 hours later, it's going to be a different theory craft. You will get lost in that rabbit hole. I promise you. You just choose classes you think are cool and go for it, because you really can't lose. And even if you do on that trio, you swap 2 of those classes and you'll find something that works. What makes the game so cool, because it really rewards you for having fun and playing and enjoying your time versus punishing you for not having the right quote unquote meta choices. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you ended up enjoying this video, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. And don't forget to take a look at my Discord link below. That way you can get up to date on any of the videos that I post, the streams that I go live with, and any of the content polls that I post for future content. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.